You're on the IG window. All right, I'm hitting
Yeah.
go live, but mine's not lit. This is weird, dog.
Oh, there it is. We just needed to go live before it would let us go live. Just
Oh
get
yeah, I see it
it.
now.
It will. That's so funny, but I don't know how to mute it.
I don't either.
Oh well. All right. What do we do? Ugh. Yo, this is the Collective Podcast, episode 128. I don't know. I think you see. You said practice. All right, I gotta end
We
it.
talking
All right,
practice.
we talking practice. Practice. I don't know how to fix that.
Yes,
Look,
sir.
and we
I've
are
I've
live
ended.
too.
We
Well,
are
you're live.
live.
I'm not even
Yes,
live.
man.
All right.
Let's
Yo.
go. Let's go.
Okay, so we dropped off IG. Cool. All right.
Yes.
This is episode 128 of the Collective Podcast. I am AC from LA. He is SG Trilogy. And together we form like Voltron. This is episode 128 of the show you all know and love. And we're happy that you came back to us one more again. Samuel SG Trilogy. Tell them where they can find us.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. We often say here at the Collective Podcast, Saturdays are always best when you connect with the Collective Podcast. In order to do so, you can check out our official website at thecollectivepodcastofficial.com. On YouTube, we're TC Pod Official. On Facebook, TC Podcast Official. On Twitter or X, TC Pod Official. On Instagram, we're TC Pod Official. On Instagram, he is AC from LA. And on Instagram, yours truly, I am SG Trilogy. Let's remain connected. Let's tap in, folks. Good morning.
Good morning. Man, we had a false start last week. You know, a little bit. I'm glad that you talked to the people and let them know what was going on, but we just had a little situation, and I'm just happy that, we're back. We're back in the fold. We're back getting it in, and it is Saturday, December 16th, and I'm super excited. I'm super excited to be back. It's the holiday season. It's my week with Kayla. Kayla came with me to my game last night, so that was an interesting experience. Kayla was able to pick up a new skill this week, so that's exciting. So, yeah, man, how's your week? How's everything with you?
Man, my week has been rocking and rolling nonstop. And man, as we close out another semester of teaching, that's one of my highlights, man. I enjoy teaching collegiately, and two of my classes were closing out, so grading finals and connecting with my students and making sure they have what they need to ensure that they're going to be successful on said final. Man, it's been a great semester, so I'm looking forward to a few weeks of downtime where I can just kind of catch up on some sports, watch some movies. I did a little James Bond marathon last night, so got into some Bond 007, and it was a great way to start the weekend, man. So great week. Thanks for asking, brother. Look, last week I was sad when we had to call an audible. I was like, oh man, I woke up, was ready. But you know what? We're here today for episode 128. So let's rock.
Let's rock. And those are 9 words I've never said. Did a little James Bond marathon last night. Just not in my vocabulary, but you seem excited about it. So I hope it was all that you wanted it to be. Was it?
Oh yeah, it was definitely, man. I love anytime you're dealing with spies and secret agents. That's in my wheelhouse. I love those. I love that
Mhm.
franchise. So yeah, it's been great. And it was
Okay.
last night. A couple of movies I watched were Roger Moore James Bond movies. Connery's my favorite, but Roger Moore is a close second.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, very cool. Um, I was trying to find a video that I wanted to share with you guys. So I'll find it. I'll keep looking for it and I'll find it. But I'm kind of proud. I'm gonna show you guys a video. Kayla learned how to ride a bike this week, and just I'm over the moon because she stuck with it, stuck with it, stuck with it, and you can literally see her progression this week for the 3 days that she rode. I took video, and so from day one to day three when she became um, when she started teaching her master class, it was pretty amazing. So yeah, so okay, I think that we should introduce our buddy Ace Hood, because we haven't talked to him in a while. Let him speak to us real quick for just a few seconds. We know when to stop him.
Mhm.
Loyalty ain't just when it's convenient. Like loyalty ain't when it's convenient. That's why I said what I said. People scream loyalty and loyalty and loyalty, but if he didn't give you that bag, he didn't create that opportunity, would you still be loyal to him? You probably wouldn't. You know what I mean? But it's convenient for you at that time to do so. So you're gonna play your part and play the position.
Yeah. So there's that. There's that. We have some big news on the home front this week. And some of you may be confused because you know that Samuel SG trilogy, Gardner III, is a big. We're gonna see that dang gnome today. I know. He's a big Raider fan. So some of you might think the big news is that their sixth win, but it's not that. The big news that I'm talking about is something different. But I don't want to steal Sam's thunder. So as soon as I play Sam's drop, Sam's gonna give you guys the big news. I'm just trying to find it. Oh, there it is.
New SG Trilogy.
Man, the only thing that I can say is the Freeway series has gotten a whole lot sweeter if you bleed Dodger blue.
Okay.
So Shohei Otani, 6'4" Japanese pitcher who was a member of the Angels franchise, is no longer there. And it was
Oh,
announced that he has joined the Los Angeles Dodgers. And when I say elated with joy, we talked about it a few episodes ago that at some point he's going to be heading up the highway,
right.
Chavez Ravine. And I guess we must have spoken it into existence because I'm so happy. And but now here's the thing: looking at the numbers, because we talk a lot about numbers. Looking at the numbers when it came out, 10 years, 700 million, I immediately kicked myself in the tail and said, why'd you go to class so much and focus on studying? I should have been pitching and I should have been playing baseball because $700 million
New Collective
in years is
Podcast.
no joke. But no, all jokes aside, man, I'm so happy that the Dodgers made a bold move because in order to win, you need to be bold. And I think it's going to have a direct correlation on the Dodgers' success. In seeing the press conference when he was next to Dodgers ownership and manager Dave Roberts, I had forgot how large in stature of a man he is. 6'4". Once he does return to the mound, that's going to be scary, brother. And I'm looking forward to him and hoping and praying that he is successful because with his success, that will ultimately lead to the Dodgers' success. So yeah, I'm happy, man. I'm happy.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, thank you for that, Sam. I'm excited too. I mean, I'm super excited. Like I was actually saying it all season. So I'm happy that it definitely came to fruition. And I'm really happy that the Angels were still in it at the break because they became buyers instead of sellers. And what that means, it's only a baseball term. We don't talk like that in basketball. or football. But in baseball, when you get to the trade deadline, if you are in contention, then you either stand pat, like if you were, well, nobody stands pat. Like even if you were the Braves, who had the best record in baseball, they didn't stand pat. They made some moves, but you had Texas and Houston taking pitchers away from the Mets. The Dodgers tried to get one pitcher in particular who didn't want to pitch. Like LA was one of his destinations that he wouldn't go to. He didn't want to pitch for the Dodgers, and he actually might have been the difference. But the Angels, who were close, who were barely in contention, many thought would become sellers and go ahead and trade Shohei Ohtani because they would have gotten some pretty good value for him because there were people who wanted certain things like pitching, or in Ohtani's case, they wanted hitting because he was already shut down because of his shoulder. And so you could have traded Ohtani and then gotten some prospects to bolster your your farm system. And what that means is your minor leaguers, for those of you who don't know baseball. So, and the reason that you would have wanted to do that instead of keeping Ohtani is that he's leaving. Like he's not staying with the Angels no way, no how. He's not staying there. So, but they were in contention, so they kept him, and then they did not make the playoffs. So it did not work out. But they did show, in that sense, they did show loyalty to him, and they did pitch him to try to sign him. It's just they weren't able to, and so I don't really care. It was, very important for us to sign him, and when I say us, you know who I'm talking about. So there's that, So there you go. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's a really, I mean, what else can we say about it? It was a great move, right? And
Yep.
we're so he's not pitching next year, by the way. He's not
Right.
pitching at all, arm completely shut down. So he's slated as the designated hitter. And what's so great about the versatility there, he might go to the top of the lineup. He could go to 4, but more than likely he'll either be 1 or 3. If he goes to
Mhm.
1, then Mookie would be second, and then you would have 2 leadoff hitters in a row, essentially. And then Mookie's numbers would be even sicker. He just wouldn't have
Oh, it'd
leadoff
be
hitter
crazy.
numbers, but it would be even sicker because he would have the opportunity to have more RBI because somebody would already be on base when he leads off.
And
The
who
game.
would go third? Freddie? Who would be third?
Yeah, Freddie would
Who's
still be behind Mookie,
Yeah, yeah,
no
yeah,
matter
yeah.
what. So that's
Hmm.
why I'm saying he'll either be first or third because you're going to have
Yeah, makes sense.
Mookie and Freddie together.
Whew, 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 whew. Yes, I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to it, brother. We have some time to wait, but interesting for the Dodgers. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely. All right,
Yep.
so I was trying to show this video, and I can't get it where I need to get it because I don't want to share the whole window. So I'll figure that out, and then I'll show you guys later. But I did find a video that I wanted to show. So anyway, episode 128. Let's actually get into it. It's been a long time. I shouldn't have left you without a podcast to step 2. Think of how many week shows you slept through. Time's up. I'm sorry I kept
Sorry,
you.
I kept you.
All right, so week 13 results, we only need to talk about one because last week was 14. So week 13, we San Francisco 49ers dismantled the Philadelphia Eagles 42-13. That's all we need to talk about in week 13, right? You don't have anything, right? Week 13,
No, I don't.
like,
I don't have anything for week 13. What I will say is this. This is what I will say. Now, I did predict that the Eagles would win that game to his disdain, and therefore I will say
oh, oh,
congratulations to your team because the
thanks.
Eagles looked terrible. And to that point, the Eagles looked terrible, and you guys really played downhill, smash mouth, keep your foot on the gas with no break football, and you beat the dust out of them. So, yeah, great job by your squad, brother.
So I appreciate that. And so, okay, since you brought it up, do you want to talk about that guy? You want to talk about I don't want to say what I want to say, but did you want to talk about Big Dom and his absolute ridiculous display of whatever the hell that was on the sideline, getting in Dre Greenlaw's face? Now,
Yeah, I thought that
I
was
would like for you
funny
to
because
defend it. Defend it.
no, it's no there's no way to defend it.
Okay.
If you're not a player, you can be a member of the team, but if you're not a player, you should not be in if you're not a player, you should not be interacting with the opposing players. So for him to get into a player's face and then get slapped in the mouth and then get booted off the field, hey, it's par for the course. He shouldn't have been involved getting close to a player. So it is what it is. And look, he was the emotional support person, but apparently that didn't help because once he was once he exited the field, it's not like that helped him. So
So you could take him on the plane. You could take him on the plane on a leash. That's what you're saying?
see,
Oh,
there
you
you
said
go.
person. You didn't say animal. My bad. My bad.
There you go.
Absolutely ridiculous. You guys asked if there was a good trade-off there. Dre Greenlaw, number 57, great linebacker for the 49ers, ejected because of this punk on the sideline getting in
No,
Dre
no, no.
Greenlaw's face and touching him. Hold on. And then he's ejected. Okay, I'll take out the word punk. And then he's
Thank
ejected. It was a punk move because it's like, hold me back, hold me back, hold me. Come on, man, stop. But okay, I won't say punk. Sam, he's quirky with that stuff. This fella, Big Dom, is on the sideline, and you talking about, oh, he's defending his ain't no his. You're not a coach. You don't need security from another player on the sideline. So he got Dre Greenlaw ejected, and then he's ejected. It's not a good trade-off, but much to Sam's chagrin, because Sam was like, okay, now we're ready. Philly's about to score, and they did, and now they back in this, and they weren't. So that part. But yeah, the 49ers just put the pedal to the metal and said, watch this. We're going to score 6 times in a row. 6 times in a row. Mind you, the Philadelphia Fly Eagles scored their first 2 times down. They put up a triple. Then they put up another triple. And that might be good in an NBA game. But when you play National Football League football and you're playing against the best team in the league, you got to do better. You got to do more.
So you're just gonna talk your talk. You're just gonna talk your talk
Put up
this
that
morning. That's
early
what you're
6,
gonna do.
and then you scored one more time after the Dre Greenlaw ejection. And so 42-13. Congratulations. That's the Philadelphia Eagles. That's all we need to say about week 13. Now we go to week 14. And mind you, y'all see I'm wearing green, right? We'll talk about this green in particular later. But I didn't wear green the last 3 weeks because Seahawks in week 12, Eagles in week 13, Seahawks in week 14. I was intentionally not wearing green at all. Mind you, I make tacos every week, not necessarily on Tuesday, but I make tacos and I have taco trays. And I have green, I have blue, I have purple, I have gold, and I have orange, and I have red. I normally go to the green and blue ones. I didn't use the green and blue ones at all the last 3 weeks. If I wasn't using the red and the yellow to go 49ers, then I was using purple and gold to go Lakers. But the green and blue just sat in the cabinet. Because I'm not giving Eagles or Seahawks, the Eagles green, Seahawks green and blue, I'm not giving them any juice. Weeks 12, 13, and 14. All right. Week 14, shut up, Seattle. Shut up, Seattle. So first, week 12, shut up, Seattle. And Kayla's Uncle Bryce, not shut up, but Kayla's Uncle Bryce is a Seattle Seahawks fan. So is her second cousin, Brandon, Brianna's cousin, Seahawks fan. Well, I got my daughter in my house talking about Fly Eagles Fly as a shout out to her grandmother. But we made a deal. The 49ers are your primary team. The Eagles are your secondary team. She says, okay, Daddy, Go 49ers. So she's cheering to the 49ers. You can't do anything, Eagles. But then she was happy to be able to cheer for the Eagles last week when they played the Dallas Cowboys. And I'm going to let Sam talk about that game too, because we didn't talk about Sam's predictions in that game.
No, so in that game, no, are you done? Are you done? You want to transition?
Yeah, we can transition.
Okay.
So we once again put hands on Seattle, this
Mhm.
time at home. And that was after going to Seattle on Thanksgiving and then going to Philly in Big Dom's house. Then we were able to chill at home against Seattle. So you talk to me, sir, about Philadelphia then getting on a plane with Big Dom to travel to Arlington. Talk to him. What happened in week
So
14?
a week after the beatdown, the debacle from week 13, I expected that to knock some sense into the Philadelphia Eagles. But as mentioned, the Eagles traveled from South Philly over to Arlington, Texas to Jerry's World, and yet had another dismal appearance. The final was 33-13 there.
Quick question.
Go ahead.
The fans want to know if you get sentimental about when Philly was. I couldn't help it. You made me mad. You made me mad, dog. You did. All right. Sometimes I'm just in a sentimental mood. Go ahead, Sam. Back to
Well,
you.
last check. This is not the emotional podcast, it's the collective. There we go. So,
We're brothers.
as we talk about week 14, Dallas Cowboys came ready to play football. And apparently, the Eagles left their game in South Philly because it was terrible. The Eagles, I'd say for the last month, I'd say the last 4 weeks, the Eagles by far have not looked like the Eagles who everyone said early on would be the best team in football. And you can see it from play calling, you can see it from Jalen Hurts. And Jalen Hurts, if you take the S off, he appears to be hurt. Like when he runs, he's hobbling a lot and he's not as explosive and not creating with his legs as he was earlier in the season. So, I'm optimistic. Eagles are my second favorite team in the league. I have not, I won't make any apology or any excuses, but yes, that's my second favorite team in the league. And I like to see the Eagles be successful, but these past few weeks, I didn't expect them to lose the way that they lost to San Francisco. And I definitely didn't expect them to lose in the manner that they lost to Dallas. So the Eagles need to wake up, knock the dust off, and put it together because it's not going to get any easier as they roll into week 15.
So thank you for that. I really appreciate that, Sam. And you just made me think of something. What's up, Tommy Loera? So Tommy is what you call the antagonist of the story. Now, which story you may ask? Any story. Tommy is always the voice of dissension, the voice of dissent, the voice of dissension, the voice of dissension. He is always a dissenter no matter what, even in his own household, even at his own family gatherings. This is what Tommy does. Hence, Tommy is saying that the Bears are the best team in the league. Which Bears and which league? The Bad News Bears? Which league? Are there Bears? Maybe he's talking about the Warren Bears, Warren High School. Who knows? But Tommy is the athletic director at Salesian. Tommy is also just above mediocre women's basketball. No, I'm kidding. He's a really good women's basketball official. And Tommy is my buddy. Thanks for tuning in, Tommy.
You're on fire this morning, brother. You are on fire.
Well, Tommy asked for the topics. And I mean, to his point, and even a broken clock is right twice a day. I didn't give the topics. So let me give the topics. And then we've already started. But first topic, breaking news. That was Shohei Ohtani.
Off the top.
Yeah. And then we
Mm-hmm.
go, the norms, right? The norms. NFL, which is what we're talking about now. We're going to briefly touch on NCAA football. Then we'll go into the association, women's hoops, men's hoops, the culture, tech talk now, and then we'll go to the closeout. So, Tommy, thank you so much for asking for today's topics. Bang, bang. So, all right, Sam, when people ask like what people think of the 49ers, other than just saying best team in the league. A lot of times they just go to Friday featuring Fireboy DML, and he made a tribute song. And so I'll just play a few seconds of it. Lord of mercy, damn you special. Oh, you a diamond. I mean, that's it. Like, yeah, that bam, you're a diamond. I mean, 75 years. Anyway, so you also made me think of something else. In fairness, the Philadelphia Fly Eagles beat the 49ers in the NFC Championship game.
Mm-hmm.
Put hands on us. Now, mind you, they literally put hands on us. They they destroyed Brock Purdy's elbow and shoulder all at the same time on one hit. And it was a sack fumble. And then on the next play, there was a pass downfield that was an incomplete pass that Kyle Shanahan did not challenge. Man clearly trapped the ball, and then Philly scored from that, and then it was just ugly. And the 49ers have always maintained, like, if we had any kind of quarterback, every quarterback we had left was injured. But if we had a quarterback, we would have won that game. I don't like talking about what ifs. I just like to do it. But the 49ers bailed in, what is it called? Lincoln Financial Field. The Link, right?
Mm-hmm.
They mobbed into the Link, dressed in all black. And if you can see my legs, y'all know the stance I have right now. It's like, the jail pick. But
no, I thought it was pigeon-toed knock-kneed, but okay, the jail pick. Gotcha.
I mean, yeah, you know what I'm saying? In all black for the Philadelphia Fly Eagles funeral. Now, mind you, we still got games to go. I understand that. And with all of that, even after Philly.
Wait, how do we get back on that game when we have already moved from that game?
Because I had to talk about the funeral. I mean, you're lucky that I'm not doing the New Orleans second line dance right now, like they did at my grandmother's funeral.
Come on.
Anyway, okay, that's fine.
Rest in peace.
Go ahead, Sam. You're so.
Man, can we get to the Week 15 power rankings? Let's go.
Sure.
This gives you
number one. It's no shock and awe, no question about it. You already know. Let's start with number 2. Dallas has ascended all the way up to number 2. I don't want to use the term shout out to preceding the name Dallas or the city Dallas or the city Arlington, but I will say congratulations to the Arlington Cowboys moving up to number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Baltimore.
The top four teams in the power rankings all have the same record. It's quite interesting.
Is it interesting? But they all got there in very different ways. All right. Baltimore, number 3. Philadelphia descends to number 4. Miami descends only to number 5. I don't understand why, but they only dropped to 5. Detroit stands pat at 6. Kansas City, I guess I do understand it. Miami only dropped to 5, and Kansas City stayed at 7, even though Kansas City lost. Buffalo is starting to scare people. Not me, but Philly didn't even scare me. Buffalo is up to 8. Cleveland's been a little up and down, but now they're back up. They're 9. And then Jacksonville dropped to 10. And to Sam's point, the top 4 teams have 10-3 records. And the 5th team had a shot at 10-3, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
So they're not 10-3. So they're 9-4. So they lost.
There you go.
Man, my cousin was telling me that the AFC was, I don't know. He calls the NFC trash. But my cousin is unreasonable. You guys have seen him before. He's Don from Atlanta.
Wait, we have some NFL breaking news that just came across.
Who's
Teddy Bridgewater, quarterback Teddy Bridgewater, who plays for the Lions. He's planning to retire after this season. So short and sweet for Teddy out of Louisville. There you go.
Okay.
I
That dude
thought I
cut me
thought
off for
Teddy
that.
I
I mean,
thought Teddy's I thought Teddy would still be a serviceable quarterback. I'm not saying he
Teddy
would
is about to
start.
get traded right now. What are you talking about? Teddy is about to like lead somebody to victory in week 16 and 17. People need quarterbacks.
Yes.
I'd be surprised. Well, I guess you can't trade him. Yeah, that's right. He's not on the street. So yeah. All right. Well, shout out to Teddy Bridgewater. Like that dude really came in and helped a lot of programs. Like he plugged a lot of holes, and he was never the long term answer for anyone, unfortunately. Um, but he got some run, and I hope that he is celebrated and appreciated as he exits the league. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
There you
All
go.
right, so that's our top 10 week 15 matchups. The first one already happened. I'm gonna let Sam run with that. Look, oh boy, here comes the gnome. What happened on Thursday?
Yeah. Well, let's backtrack to Thursday. Let's go to Thursday, December 14th, when the Raiders, yes, the Raiders at Allegiant Stadium, aka the Death Star, showed them Chargers why they should have stayed in San Diego, because the Chargers could leave, not even go back to LA. They just need to go back to San Diego because the Raiders gave it to them. Gave it to them. The final 63-21. And in essence, when you look at when you watch that game, it almost looked like a mixtape. You know now how like young athletes, they have these mixtapes that show all of their highlights. That game was a glorified highlight reel for the Raiders. For the Raiders defense, and let's shout out to Aiden O'Connell, rookie quarterback, who went 20 for 34, 248 yards with 4 touchdowns and no picks. He balled out. Balled out. Devontae Adams, 8 receptions for 101 yards, 1 touchdown. The Raiders gave it to the Chargers, and it just gave me so much joy to kick off week 15, brother. So I'm happy, man. I'm elated. Yes, the gnome, you knew the gnome was coming out, so you don't have to give any shade to the gnome because he's coming out anytime I talk about the Raiders. Yeah, man. So excited. I'm excited, man. I'm excited. That to me, and I think I may have texted you. I texted someone to say, let's go ahead and take that interim tag off of Coach Pierce. Just give him the head coaching job. Let him rock. Give the interim GM the permanent GM job. Let them rock because culturally, it feels different. No, is the team undefeated? No, they're 6-8, but the team plays different. The team comes together. The camaraderie feels a whole lot different than it has felt for the past 20 years. And I'm here for it. So let's go, Raiders.
So I would be irresponsible if I didn't ask you a couple follow-up questions.
Let's
So
go.
shout out to Antonio Pierce. He's local. He's a local guy, and like I said, I officiated him one time when he was coaching in high school. We had one of his games, and I was a crew chief, so that was kind of fun. So yeah, you put up 63, which means that you averaged 31.5 over the last 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you kind of have to talk about both? So first of all, you guys set a record for scoring margin from one game to the next. There's
Yes, because we
never
didn't
been
score at all the game
a
before.
plus 63 margin between 2 games for a single team in NFL history. I mean, so you say, yes, take the interim tag off. What were you saying when you guys put up 0? Just kind of nothing?
Even when we put up 0, and by no means was I excited or happy that we put up 0. No, that's a subpar performance. But when you look at even when putting up 0, the team didn't walk like dogs with their tails tucked. You looked on the sidelines, players were mad. Before, you'd see Raiders players looking sad. And now you're starting to see more passion out of them. And even when it results in an L or even a W, you're seeing more passion out of these guys than we've seen in past seasons. So that's why I say, let's go ahead and get some consistency. The Raiders have had so many coaches over the past 20 seasons, they haven't been able to create or build a culture.
Okay.
And when you're changing coaches, when that's a revolving door, you're changing GMs. When you look at the draft, and a lot of draft and trades have been questionable, i.e., Khalil Mack, like things like that, it makes you question, like, okay, was the team trying to fail? So seeing a team now that is passionate, even when they're losing, they're passionate. That's why I say, let's take the interim off of his name.
So I appreciate that. Pick me. Okay, so you mentioned changing coaches, changing GMs, and you mentioned Khalil Mack. When you put those three things together, what else do you have to tell the audience?
About now, or just about what?
I got it. So Khalil Mack
Go
plays
ahead.
for the Chargers.
There you
Following
go.
that game, the Chargers let go of their
Oh
coach and
yes, the
their
chart.
GM. I'm
Man,
on,
I
man.
wasn't even thinking about that. Look, I'm praising my team. But yeah, less than 24 hours after the beatdown, the Chargers decided to relieve their head coach as well as their GM of their duties and gave him the deuces. And there was a member of the podcast that wondered, what were their traveling arrangements post game? And so we've come to the conclusion it may have been a charter bus, perhaps from one of the commercial charter bus companies to take them back to LA, because they didn't deserve to ride on the team charter after that lackluster performance.
There it is.
There you
There
go.
it is, my friends. So yeah. All right. Sometimes I just have to check your posts. I gotta check their posts and I gotta see what's what. I gotta see what's important to you. And I just thought that it was important to mention that also happened. And
I've
again, it
told
didn't.
you, I've told you in the past, the only love I have for the Chargers is my boy Art Hightower, who works for the Chargers. So shout out to Art Hightower, director of player personnel. That's my guy. But outside of that, no, they ever face the Raiders, I'm ready for the beatdown. Let's do it. Let's give it to them.
Okay, so moving right along. So here's the thing. When we look at the lineup, the matchups for this week, all home teams are favored except for two. And in some circles, it's the top two teams in the league that are favored on the road. Clearly, the number one team, San Francisco, favored on the road. And then Baltimore is favored also at Jacksonville. And that's actually Sunday Night Football. So that's tomorrow evening. Everybody gets to watch that. Baltimore's favored at Jacksonville. That should be a really good game. We play Arizona tomorrow. Again, we're favored on the road. Baltimore's favored on the road. But here's what's really, really interesting. First, let's talk about the Saturday matchup. So we already got Thursday out of the way. The Raiders were favored at home. They covered the spread and then some. They covered the over and then some. And listen, after putting up 0, there wasn't and playing the Chargers, there wasn't much of an over. I think the line was like 12. But they put hands on the Chargers and made the Spanos family actually do what they should have done a long time ago, and that was let Brandon Staley go. All right, so now we have today, and I'm talking about Showcase Saturday is what it's called. We have Minnesota at favored Cincinnati. Pittsburgh, listen to me. I got to do this. I love Mike Tomlin, but however, they're playing at Indianapolis and not favored. They have lost all faith in Pittsburgh because of that quarterback and that inept offense. Is Brandon Staley the offensive coordinator of the Pittsburgh Steelers? I couldn't help it. I'm sorry. So Pittsburgh at favored Indianapolis. Denver at favored Detroit. Now, Samuel, SG Trilogy, Gardner III would have you believe that Detroit is absolutely going to win that game. I, on the other hand, and he wants Detroit to win that game just because he always wants the other AFC West foes to lose. However, even though Detroit is in chase mode, also having had a shot at 10-3 and dropping to 9-4, I just don't really care for the Detroit story, other than Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator. So, and I kind of feel like y'all wrote, I don't feel like, y'all definitely wrote Russell Westbrook off several times over the past 15 months. Several times. And so, he's doing a little bit in playoff contention, all of that. And again, I know Sam, he's like, hey, I don't want them to get there. But just throwing it out there, that's that. Denver at favored Detroit. And it's interesting because based on last season, Denver is a surprise team this year. And Detroit is less of a surprise team because they had a run last year, but they're more complete than we thought they might be. And so they had to lose to drop to 9-4. To be at 9-4. It's not like they won 5 in a row, like Denver did before they dropped and then won again. It's a really interesting thing. So look at Sam doing some work while we're on the podcast. Go ahead, brother. Yeah. So Denver at favored Detroit. I got Denver in that one. Sam has Detroit, and I didn't even have to ask him. And we're not influencing you guys to bet. We're just talking about the line and all of that. So,
right.
Yes. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So Dallas.
I agree. I concur.
So Dallas, 10-3, right? And atop the NFC East for now. So here's what it is. Let me school you guys. So Sam mentioned that 10-3, right? So 10-3 San Francisco, 10-3 Dallas, 10-3 Philly. Dallas and Philly are in the NFC East together. Dallas beat Philly, and Philly beat Dallas. Philly beat Dallas first. Currently, Dallas has a better record in conference than Philly. But if Philly wins out, it's about number of games and the one loss, right? But if Philly wins out and they both finish 14-3, then Philly would win the NFC East. So I just want to throw that out there. But Dallas leading the NFC East while being tied with Philly and currently holding the number 2 seed behind San Francisco, because why does San Francisco have the tiebreaker over Dallas, Samuel? Aside from better conference record?
They beat Dallas. There you go.
Beat down Dallas.
I knew what you were going for.
Beat the brakes off of Dallas. Just Dallas. Okay. But Dallas is not favored at Buffalo. I told you guys, Buffalo is ascending, but Dallas can't be any better right now. So this is amazing how much they believe in Josh. I always forget his last name. You got to help me with that.
Josh Allen?
Allen. By the way, there are 2 Josh Allens. There's also a Josh Allen on defense that plays for Jacksonville. Josh Allen, who once again beat Sam's godbrother, Patrick Mahomes. And Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes during the game embarrassed himself, continued to embarrass himself heading into the locker room, continued to embarrass himself in the press conference, and then Andy Reid followed suit. Mind you, it seems like every time Snow Allegra, and I know that's not his name. What's Snow Allegra's name? What's his name?
Crazy.
What's his name? What's Snow Allegra's name? Aguilar. Every time Aguilar drops a pass, y'all hold him accountable.
Come on,
But
man.
hey,
Get off of
nobody's
get
talking
off
about
Nelson
Tony.
Aguilar, man. Get off Nelson Aguilar. Leave him alone, man. He was just
No, I'm
he's
saying,
over
no,
here
I'm
chilling.
saying he's accountable. He holds himself accountable when he drops. When he drops a pass or does something silly, he's just thanking his lucky stars that he's still playing, right? People still want him. Tony, and that's my nickname, but Toney, which is a last name, lines up in the defensive backfield. He's out there with the safeties, and y'all mad at the officials. And then I don't remember if it was Mahomes or Reed talking about 3 inches. First of all, 3 inches matter, but no, it wasn't 3 inches. His whole body was offside. And you're mad at the officials, but you're not holding him accountable. Oh, you took away the Hall of Fame play. You took away that great play from the highlight reel from the Hall of Famer. No, Tony did. Where is he? Where you at, Tony? I don't know where you are, but he did that. So, embarrassing themselves after, once again, Josh Allen did his thing. It was a sweet play, though. Shout out to Travis Kelce. And I don't know if you want to talk about Al Michaels or not. You could probably get your revenge now that we found out that it was probably because of Taylor Swift. You can't drive. You're great, right? You can't drive. And what I don't know. So there's the Navy for Rihanna. There's the Beehive for Beyonce. What are the Taylor Swift people called?
I think they're called the Swifties. I think they're like the
Swifties.
Swifties or something.
The Swifties canned Al Michaels for the playoffs. The Swifties. Do you know about that?
Yeah. Yeah, I heard about it. I didn't look too much into it. You know how I feel about Al Michaels.
Yeah, we're running with that narrative. So just so y'all know, Al Michaels, just legendary. Like gives me chills when I hear that voice. And I don't say that about a lot of people who don't have some melanin, right? Listen, the Swifties said, wait a minute, you can't say when the side show becomes the show, ... end quote, when talking about Taylor Swift in regards to Travis Kelce. You can't. Or you can, but you'll suffer the consequences. So the Swifties spoke. No playoffs for Al Michaels. All right, moving right along. Dallas is not favored at Buffalo. Do you know if Buffalo beats Dallas, then what? Then obviously you have to start talking about Buffalo being up there with Baltimore, which the records don't say, but that's an impressive victory. But what do you say about Dallas at that point? They got to shut up again. I'm just sitting back with my popcorn.
But the flip, so the flip side, if Dallas wins this game, what do you say about Dallas?
Nothing. There's a number. Okay, hold on. Nothing. We can get to we'll get to our top 5.
You say they were supposed to win the game?
Yes.
Yeah.
Should I have to say that? You just beat Philly, right? And you got the MVP. You got the MVP. Right? The beauty of it is, here's the beauty of it. I don't even understand how this all happens. Yes, I'm happy that Brock Purdy's in the conversation. But what happened to Lamar Jackson? I understand what happened to Patrick Mahomes. So all 3 of them had the same record, right? Dak, Brock Purdy, Lamar. And they say in a 2-horse race, a 3-horse race with the cheetah, Tyreek Hill. But before they got their butts whooped last week, you were also talking about Tua. But nobody was talking about Lamar. So I guess in fairness, we're going to be responsible here and say Dak Prescott, Brock Purdy, Lamar Jackson, and Tyreek Hill. And you have to say Tyreek Hill. Well, actually, I'm not saying Tyreek Hill. Jerry Rice never got an MVP. That's nuts. So I don't care about Tyreek Hill. But boy, did they look inept without Tyreek Hill. So that's supposed to strengthen his case. Here's the thing. If he gets 2,000 yards, 2,000 receiving yards, that's probably going to put him over the top. But no, I'm not going to blow up Dallas. I'm not going to celebrate Dallas if they beat Buffalo. That's another day at the office.
I didn't look to
That's
see
it.
what the weather is today there
Okay, well, look up the weather.
or
Baltimore.
tomorrow. So
Okay, Baltimore favored at Jacksonville. Marquee game, Sunday Night Football. Jets at Miami. Miami is favored, but should they be? I mean, because your boy went out there last week and made quick work of who were they playing? Houston?
I think so.
He went nuts last week.
Yeah.
The number 2 quarterback behind Aaron Rodgers, who became the starter and then got benched, came back last week and had a gangbusters game. And these people I don't care about, so I forget the names sometimes, but I don't care. But there things that make okay. So at Miami's favorite. Houston at Tennessee. CJ Stroud is still in concussion protocol. So hence Tennessee is favored. Also, Tennessee had a big win last week. Tampa Bay at Green Bay in a sentimental mood bowl. Green Bay's favorite at home. Shout out to Jordan Love. Go Bruins. Chicago at Cleveland. Now, going back to Tommy's comment, we'll bring Tommy
The Bears. The Bears.
Yeah. So, Cleveland is favored at home, but that's okay. I got the Bears in that one. Because y'all must have forgot. Listen, the Bears beat the 49ers in game 1 last year. Don't ever forget that. That was
they beat the Raiders this year. I'm like, the Bears show up when you least expect them to show up. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, now I expect them to show up.
New AC from LA.
Hey, Munchie. Oh, so I have it now. I want to show you guys the video of Kayla with the bike. Do I have it? Do I does or do I doesn't? Nope, I don't have it. All right, moving on. And then we have Philadelphia at Seattle. Now this game got flexed to Monday Night Football a few weeks ago. It got flexed during week 12. So during Thanksgiving week, before the 49ers put hands on them in front of the 12th man in Seattle on the Thanksgiving nightcap, this game was flexed to Monday Night Football. Here's the thing. Philly is favored at Seattle. None of us are convinced that Philadelphia can win that game. Don't count. Okay, well, go ahead, Sam. Who's going to win the game, Sam?
Philadelphia is going to have their comeback game. This is going to be the game that gets them back on the track. It's going to get them back on track. You heard it here. Philadelphia will win the game. I have no doubt Philly will beat the Seahawks.
Well, Seattle's going to come out the tunnel. Seattle's coming out of the tunnel like this. So I don't know. I don't know. But we will see. I've got Seattle in that one. And yeah, really interesting. All right. So now we're going to have a new segment or a new piece of the NFL situation where we're going to talk about our top 5. Top five. So Sam, you want me to go first or you want to go first?
Man, have at it. We know where you're going. So have at it.
You mean with number 1?
There you go. There you go. I want you look. You're going to have your flowers today, so go ahead and enjoy all this for now.
I don't even understand what that means. Did I do something to you?
You know what it means.
Did I make you mad, Sam?
You know what it means. Never.
But I'm trying to understand, like, what's up with the disdain. Like, I don't ever say anything about the Raiders. Yeah, I felt like it was responsible of me to mention that you guys averaged 31.5 points over the last 2 weeks. But that's not taking a shot at y'all. You know y'all didn't score. And then you put up
take a shot. I didn't take a shot.
All
I'm saying is you go ahead and celebrate with your top 5, specifically with your number 1.
Okay, I'm about to say, why am I going to celebrate my top 5? I don't care about 4 of them, right? I mean, hopefully you don't care about any of the. Oh, you do. That's the thing. One of the 5 are your secret lover. That's right. Because you walking around with an NFC team, and I think you know what the fans want you to declare today. Put it in a sentence. I have an NFC team, and they are. Go ahead. Go
Man,
ahead,
we're
Sam.
not doing that. Hit your top 5. Let's go. Let's go.
Why? But why are you doing that, Sam? You don't want to tell the fans who your NFC team is? You feel like they should?
You
They're
are
not.
the fans. The fans know who I root for in the NFC. They know.
Who I root.
That's not a secret.
Look at the word usage. Who I root for in the NFC. All right. Well,
There you go.
number 1, you already know. I don't have a gnome, but here you go. Number 1, my top 5. Here you go. Let's get a little bit. Okay. All right. So 49ers, number 1. And then I have Baltimore as number 2. Dallas, number 3. Philly, number 4. And then I have a tie. Like they both lost, but so it's Detroit and Kansas City for me. And it's interesting that if you look at the power rankings, they both stood pat, right? They stayed 6 and 7, but I have them tied for 5 because I watched Miami and they're clearly a one-trick pony. And because their MVP candidate quarterback was still there, but they couldn't do anything. They just couldn't do anything. And mind you, they couldn't do anything when they couldn't do much when he was there. They just looked like, I don't want to take shots, but I will. They basically looked like St. Bernard High School's football team when he left, when Tyreek left. I don't believe in the Dolphins. I know y'all do. I know you do. And by the way, I have some Dolphins gear for sale. If you want to buy a hat or a t-shirt or something, I got a nice little sale. It's Nike. The t-shirts are Nike gear and the hats are New Era. Got it for sale. I'll ship it to you. That being said, I don't believe in them. Kansas City and Detroit tied for 5 for me. Samuel, give us your top 5 and please show deference. And I know you know that word. Show deference when you start at number 1, and then you can get into the rest of your 2 through 5.
So my top 5, and I think as we talk about this team specifically, the 49ers, we hear so much about Brock Purdy, and we don't often celebrate the impact that Deebo Samuel has,
Number 19,
as well as Christian McCaffrey.
23.
And so that's the fuel. To me, that's the fuel that truly ignites that team because they're so explosive. And both of those players are multi-dimensional, meaning they can run out of the backfield, they can catch, they can get in slot, they can do a lot. And I think, a lot of the praise and a lot of the shine often goes to
New
Brock Purdy.
SG Trilogy.
Brock Purdy's doing his thing, but let's celebrate what, Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey are able to do week in and week out.
Thanks for that, Sam. And Brandon Ayuk. Also, thank you. Thanks, Sam.
All right. Now, as it pertains to the remaining 4 out of that top 5, my second is going to be the Philadelphia Eagles. Yes, they've hit a couple of roadblocks or stumbling blocks, but it's not at a point where the Eagles have fallen off just yet. And I think that the Eagles still have a great deal of promise once they shore up the defense. One thing I have been really concerned about in watching the Eagles is they can't stop the run game. So I'm wondering linebackers need some smelling salt or something so they can wake up. But I still think that the Eagles have a great deal of promise. So the Eagles are going to be my number 2.
New SG Trilogy.
My number 3 is a tie because a lot of people are high up on the Cowboys right now because the Cowboys have played the best we've seen them play. But I don't truly believe in the Cowboys yet. And I think a lot of what factors in for me is the fact that I've seen them in past playoffs, and I'm like, I don't know about that. And so at this point, we've heard throughout the season that they haven't played anyone. I think that that's a misnomer. You can throw that out the window because they have played now, as of recent, they have played the one in terms of the Eagles. And so I think the Cowboys are I can't say the Cowboys would be my 3. So I have them tied with Baltimore. And then lastly, to round out that top 5, I'd say Kansas City. Even as they stand at 8-5, Kansas City is always scary because when it matters, they know how to win. And I think that's the scariest thing about Kansas City. They may not be 10-3 or, 11-2, but even at 8-5, there's no one that really wants to play Kansas City because Kansas City, it seems like when it really matters, they figure out how to win. With a hurt quarterback, regardless, they figure out how to win when it truly matters. So a quick recap. I'm going San Fran, Philly. I have Baltimore and Dallas tied, and then I'll close that out with Kansas City. So there we go.
All right. So Sam's top 5 are also in my top 5, with Kansas City being his 5 and Kansas City being my 5 and tied with Detroit. And then he's got Dallas and Baltimore tied at 3. So you guys know how numbers work. There is no number 4 because you have 2 tied at 3. So just want to throw that out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's really interesting. So Sam, thank you for sharing that. I think that after number 1, everything is pretty subjective. I don't think that you'll find a ton of consistency throughout. I think that if maybe we poll somebody else, I don't think there's no question about number 1, but I think a lot of people will have Dallas at 2, and Sam and I both have Dallas at 3. So, it's interesting. I have a different 2 than him, but yeah, so there's that. All right. Just briefly, we're going to touch on college football. Based on the way that everything shook out, Washington beat it. I tried to say defeated, but then I moved on to beat. Just beat it. I got to do that. Did I say beat it? That is,
you got to get the moves.
Well, I'll let you do the moves. I'll let you do the moves because I'm not about to. What I'll do is I'll do the. But I gotta stay under 7 seconds.
There we go. I'm listening to that today.
All right, so beat it. All right, Washington beat and defeated Oregon in a close one at Allegiant Stadium, so home of the Raiders. 34-31. Michigan beat Iowa. Georgia lost to Alabama, and Alabama was wire to wire on that one. Florida State beat Louisville, and Texas beat Oklahoma State. So going into it, if Alabama held on, then they would have been number 1 in the final rankings. They didn't hold on, and I'm sorry. If Georgia held on, they would have been number 1. I'm sorry. They would have been number 1. They did not hold on, and they wound up losing and falling to number 6. Florida State, they came in at number 4, which was they came in at number 5. They came in at number 5. I'm sorry, but they were they came in at number 5. And at the time, there were 5 undefeated teams. So you thought, okay, if any of those lose, then you just move up. Well, I got news for you. Texas, after beating Oklahoma State, but also having beaten Alabama earlier in the year, moved all the way up to number 3. So they jumped over Florida State. So mind you, you wound up with 2 undefeated teams, Michigan and Washington. No, 3. Michigan, Washington, and Florida State. So you think that would be, many people thought it would be 1, 2, 4 because you thought Texas would jump them, right? Well, because of Alabama's victory over Georgia at that late date, Alabama jumped them too. And so Florida State finished, even though undefeated, finished number 5 in the final poll. And the argument is, do you really think that Florida State is one of the top 4 teams in the country? And that the answer was no, not for me, but the answer was no. And they say because their starting quarterback is gone. But this is the thing that no one addressed. If that's really your argument, then why don't you get really bold with it and put Georgia and Alabama in? And that's the thing. You don't believe, even though you had Georgia finish 6th, you also don't believe that Florida State is better than Georgia. But you still rank them higher. And you probably think that Georgia's better than Texas. But you still put them in. So your argument doesn't hold any water when you say these are the best 4 teams in the country. Because y'all do believe that Georgia's one of those 4 teams. So it's hogwash to me. But anyway, so Michigan winds up number 1, Washington number 2, Texas number 3, Alabama number 4. Yes.
I'm going to go ahead and address that elephant that's in the room. Let's be realistic. The reason that Alabama is there is because they wanted to be sexy with an SEC team in the mix. An SEC team in the mix is much sexier to those that matter. To television, it's much sexier to see an SEC team as opposed to an ACC team. And I know that fact. I know that factored in. I have no doubt that factored in because it's sexy to see, Alabama is always, you have a number 1 and Alabama's never too far behind. So for Alabama to knock out the number 1 team who hadn't lost in 2.5 seasons, that it has a sexy feel to it. And that, I'm sure that's what had to have factored in, man.
All right. Well, I'll take that. But then I'll also say, shout out to Washington, who did what they had to do in every single game this year, finished undefeated, and narrowly finished at number 2. Number 2 overall in the final season of the Pac-12. Pac-12 regular season champion, Pac-12 championship game champion, and number 2 facing Texas in their bowl game. In their playoff game, in their semifinal. And Michigan will host Alabama. And I guess Florida State would be the most upset, and maybe Michigan is the second most upset that they are playing Alabama. And then I guess third would be Georgia because they're not in, but Georgia doesn't have a leg to stand on. So I need to play this for Washington. Shout out to you, Doug. And you guys know I rock with Harbaugh, and I'm happy that he made it to another Final Four. And I hope he beats Alabama, but I got Washington all the way. I got Washington winning their next 2 games, finishing the season at 15-0, and finally getting a national championship for the Pac-12 in this new system, the CFP system. So, because there's no more Pac-12 after this. All right, that's that. I don't want to do the GOAT because that's going to be a long one, so we could do that next week.
Yeah, let's do that next week.
Do you want to also wait on defense? Because I have a whole thing, but I can wait on it.
Yeah. Let's wait on the GOAT. I'm making an asterisk now. The GOAT and defense, because those are going to be some great conversations next week.
All right, cool.
All right, this last one that's on there, I don't want to wait.
So let's talk about it. You see the disappointment on my face?
I can only imagine that when this news came out that we're about to talk about, you were like a dad that received a call from the principal's office that your kid is showing out and bringing shame to the Carter name. And so I know you were not happy. And the funny part about it as well, that shirt that you have on with that beautiful hue of green and it has money on it.
Yeah.
It ties into who?
I
Hey,
even think it's
what's his name?
$23. Money Green 20.
No, that's not how you say his name. I couldn't hear you. What's his name?
Money Green 23.
Money Green 23. Now, as you all know, if you've listened to the Collective podcast for any time now, you know the love and admiration that this gentleman over here, my brother, the love and admiration that he has for Money Green 23. He
Had.
has defended Money Green 23.
Yeah.
He has spoke about the impact that Money Green 23 has had on the Golden State Warriors franchise. He has spoken about Money Green 23 deserving a max contract for what he contributes to the organization. And guess what? I'm here to tell you that Money Green 23 apparently has lost his mind. The antics of Draymond Green, enough is enough, young fella. Because when you look at there on social media, several people have put together compelling videos that have shown his past antics of the choke out of Rudy Gobert, the stomping in the chest of Sabonis, kicking someone in the yoo-hoo, and Money Green 23. It's we're at a point now where he is suspended indefinitely for his most recent antics, and it's I'm happy that the NBA did not waste any time in terms of coming down to say he is suspended indefinitely because it's time.
All right, go ahead.
So Draymond Green, he is in a extended timeout, which hopefully will make a difference. And I'm sure that Jordan Poole right now is in Washington saying, "See, I tried to tell you. I tried to tell you." Because Draymond, man, enough is enough, man.
What we're not gonna do is vindicate Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole is a lunatic in his own right. So that's what we're not gonna do. We're not gonna defend Draymond Green anymore. Like, we're done with that. We are retired. We have retired. I will mention that dude as far as news is concerned. And that's it. And then, my cousin, people didn't believe me when I said I'm done. Like, I'm over it. No, I got nothing else to say about it. And then, people want to go back and say, "Oh, well, you said this about his talent." I stand behind everything that I've ever said about his impact. What I was probably skewed on was how much of a distraction he actually was. I think that I didn't realize. Well, this is unprecedented. Like, this is just, I don't know. I don't want to keep talking because it seems really, really weird. It's almost like it was calculated. And the problem
Listen,
is, you could tell that this brother is really, really intelligent when he talks. But the actions on the court. Go ahead, Sam. I got nothing
two
about this guy.
words. He is emotionally
2 words.
unstable.
2 words, like, oh no.
He emotionally unstable. Even after the recent incident with Nurkic, when he punched him, turned around and punched him in the face, he said, "Oh, I didn't even realize that I punched him. Oh, that was an accident." Come on, dog. What are we doing here? What are we doing? And in past podcasts, the word that I used specifically was distraction. And Draymond now has risen to become yet another distraction for that team. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. But Draymond, enjoy your time out, buddy. Hopefully this will make you grow up.
And if it doesn't, we don't care. Because guess what? We're both off of you now. So here's one. I'm gonna show you 2 videos today. Here's one earlier in the week, and just I want you to listen to what she says. I can't give up, right? She knows that she can't give up.
Well, just try to get started.
That's
gotta be your right foot now.
That's the big thing. That's the big thing. I can't give up, right, Daddy? Like, I love the fact that she learned that lesson. And then you'll see the fruits of her labors later on. I got to find that video, but I just wanted to show you guys that. All right, moving on to women's hoops. So you have the top 25, and then you have the power rankings. And I just want to say this. From what I understand, voters actually had to think this past week. Like, oh, is it South Carolina hands down? Or is it not? So it is South Carolina hands down, but my Bruins are in the mix. In the mix. So shout out to Roderick Tennell. And if you got what he's saying here is I was an original Ring Central adopter. And when Ring Central was first introduced, I had a voicemail from them, and the automated system said Anthony Carter. So, leave a message for Anthony Carter. So every time Roderick called me every time he calls me for the next 20 years, including now, he says, Anthony Carter. He doesn't even call me Anthony. He calls me Tony, but because of Ring Central, he says Anthony Carter. And then, of course, he's telling Kayla, never give up, and sending that message. And Roderick is a proud father. Also, we always like to celebrate the proud moms and dads. Shout out to Roddy T, my guy. All right, South Carolina had a top 11 matchup against Utah at the Hall of Fame Classic in Uncasville, Connecticut, which is at the Mohegan Sun Arena, and they won. UCLA, to add insult to injury, had a top 25, top 15 matchup with Florida State. Put hands on them, and I mean put hands on them. Kiki Rice almost had a quadruple double earlier in the week, just doing her thing. And so that was also at the Hall of Fame Classic. And then, not to be outdone, but to be outdone because they're not in the top 10, UConn also won their game at the Hall of Fame Classic. So you had 3 games in the Classic, and you also had the draft lottery. And in the WNBA draft lottery, the Indiana wound up with the number 1 pick again. So they chose Aaliyah Boston last year, and they have the number 1 pick again. And if you listen to my counterparts in the media, Sam's counterparts in the media, it's a no-brainer, even though it's not a no-brainer. A no-brainer was Asia Wilson. A no-brainer was Aaliyah Boston. It's not a no-brainer this year. And I know that the narrative says it's a no-brainer and it's Caitlin Clark. But just let the season play out. But they won't. They won't. So Indiana has the number 1 pick. Throwing that out there. Number 3, still North Carolina State. And they rose to number 3 after beating Stanford. Iowa, speaking of Caitlin Clark, is 4. Texas is 5. The University of Southern California, and the S is with a $sign, is still number 6. And Juju Watkins is on a tear. She is just on an absolute tear. She is their leader. She's their emotional leader. And there is a showdown in Pauley Pavilion 2 weeks from today, December 30th, UCLA and USC. If UCLA holds on against Ohio State on Monday, then they will both go into that game undefeated, and it'll be the highest ranked matchup in that matchup's history. First of all, UCLA is at number 2, and that's the highest they've been. That's 3 weeks in a row. USC has been higher. They've won 2 national championships before with Cheryl Miller, and they were also number 4 as recently as with Lisa Leslie and Tina Thompson, but UCLA was not playing in these waters at any time that USC was good before now. So this is all really amazing. Even when UCLA has been in the top 10, USC has not been good. So this is crazy good for Southern California while the men are not ranked. USC men, UCLA men, nobody ranked. I can't say nobody's checking for them. Nobody's checking for UCLA, but checking for the USC men are millions of people around the world because LeBron James Jr. plays for the USC men. And oh, by the way, Juju Watkins went to Sierra Canyon, and so did LeBron James Jr. All right, LSU still at number 7. Angel Reese is there, and she's back in the fold. We already told you that. Colorado 8, Stanford 9, Baylor 10, and then Utah is still number 11, even after dropping the game to South Carolina. And it's because you lost to the best team in the country. And so they're not holding that against you. And you played them tough. And your best player had what, 32, 35? Can't remember. But she put up some numbers. So that's what's going on. Big games coming up. Really, it's just UCLA versus Ohio State on Monday. Ohio State is number 15. And so that's a something game. And then, like I said, in 2 weeks you have UCLA USC, which if things hold will be a top 6 matchup, and it'll be crazy at Poly. As we like to do, we'll just stop at that. That's the number. That's the top 10. But as we like to do, we'll let Sam talk about the mans in them. So he's going to tell you about what's going on, and then tell you about some freshmen. So go ahead, brother.
Yes, man. So as we get back to men's NCAA basketball, as mentioned by AC, Bronny James. Bronny is back on the court. He made his debut last week against Long Beach State University. And there were a couple of shockers that happened. Long Beach State University. Oh, go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Just make sure you say what happened in the game. Dude, that's all. Just
I'm not done. I'm not done.
You got it.
And so USC, coming from a Power 5 conference, Pac-12 specifically, did well in the recruiting off season. USC actually ran into a Long Beach State basketball team that I guess didn't realize that was USC, because Long Beach State put some hands on them. The 49ers of Long Beach State ended up winning that game 84-79. And literally, it was one of those things when I saw the highlights and I saw the final score, I thought that my glasses were broken, because wait, what? Or did someone make a mistake? I didn't expect that. And so, yeah, shout out to Long Beach State, because Long Beach State really didn't care that they were faced up against USC. And so a highlight, though, from USC was the fact that Bronny James, after an incident in which he collapsed on the court practicing in July, and he had to have some medical treatment and spend time in the hospital to have his heart checked, he made his debut. And in 17 minutes, Bronny James had 4 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and a very, very impressive block shot, which made SportsCenter and ran its it ran the course of highlights. And I think the most impressive thing about the block is, Bronny does not have the stature of his dad, and we've seen his dad over the years getting these come from behind blocks and all these crazy athletic things. So to see Bronny being someone who's not on the relatively tall side, he came out of nowhere and blocked that shot. So great to see him back on the court, and hopefully, he'll continue to improve and experience success. From there, we'll talk the top 25. Go ahead. You're on mute. You're on mute, brother.
I have to, just because he kind of doubled down and tripled down. So, yes, very impressive highlight, all of that. It was goaltending. I just want to throw that out there. It was goaltending.
Because the ball hit the backboard first.
Yeah. He blocked it off the backboard. So, In the international,
I also,
Go
oh yeah,
ahead.
FIFA, you're good. But I also know if it hasn't been called, you have told me before, if it wasn't called, then that it is what it is as well. So it wasn't called a block. It wasn't called goaltending. It was called a block in the game. And you've told me
Well, I was
that
just
before.
specifically responding to you saying how impressive it was, but okay, you're right. It wasn't called. So shout
His
out to
timing
LeBron.
was impressive.
Yeah,
And
it was.
for a smaller guard to get up, he got
Yeah,
up. There we
yeah.
go.
All right, go
In
ahead.
terms of top 25, Arizona Wildcats are looking good at number 1, followed by Kansas, Purdue. Houston Cougars are yet once again tough. Shout out to Danny Hurley. Danny Hurley is an amazing coach with University of Connecticut, and it looks like they're coming into their own, and they are slated to be the top dog in the Big East. So we'll see how that works for them. Baylor, and I won't go through the full top 25. Baylor's another team who's tough out of Waco. Marquette, another team out of the Big East. Shaka Smart is a great coach, and he has Marquette playing an intense brand of basketball where they're pressing full game, and Marquette's another tough squad out of the Big East. Creighton, again, another Big East squad, and then you have UNC and Gonzaga as some of the top teams in college basketball currently. Now, one thing that I wanted to acknowledge, we look at the impact of freshmen, and now you look, current day. In the past, freshmen weren't allowed to really start when they would come into college. Freshmen were on the bench for the most part, but now we're seeing kids transition from high school directly into college athletics and ball immediately. So I just wanted to give props to 3 star freshmen right now who out the gate are hooping big time. And I wanted to kick that off with USC's, we're talking Southern Cal, point guard Isaiah Collier, who's averaging almost 20 a game, 7 assists a game, and 5.5 rebounds. And he's slated to be, if he does come out of school, they're saying that he'll possibly end up being the number 1 draft pick in the NBA lottery. So Isaiah Collier, strong guard, 6'4", 6'5", 215. Very exciting, and he plays under control, so I like him a great deal. Out of the Ivies, out of Harvard University, we have Malik Mack, another point guard, averaging 20 a game, 4.5 assists and 4 rebounds. Exciting. He appears to be ambidextrous because I've seen him fill it up left hand, right hand. He can go both ways, create his own shot, really quick slasher type of guard. And then Jacoby Walter is another guard, averaging 15 points, an assist, and 4 rebounds. So 3 freshman phenoms, and that if you're into college basketball, check these young men out because they're making an immediate impact collegiately, man, and it's good to see them. And so, yeah, that's what I have for this week's college basketball wrap up, brother.
Yes. Well, thank you for that, sir. So I'm gonna play this for you guys now. This is part 2 of Kayla. Before we move on to what we got up next, the culture. Yeah. Before we move on to the culture, we'll just let's just do. Well, I guess you got it if you want to do the albums. So this is Munchie. 2 days later, 2 days after. I can't give up, right, Daddy? Mind you, she clearly needs a bigger bike. But do you see this? Do you see the transformation?
She's riding through the neighborhood like Debo right now.
Yeah, she's turned. Look at that, the balance. Like, let me maintain.
Pants leg rolled up so it doesn't get caught in the chain. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, look at that. Now, before, remember when she was there before? She was like, "I can't give up, right, Daddy? Never give up." That's my mom.
She's on. She's on it.
Good job. All right. Hey, good morning. All right. Yeah. Okay. Good morning. Go. All right. So, go, Kayla. Go. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. All right, you got it on the culture. Well, here for the culture, let me just throw this out there. Kayla, no, you go ahead. I'm gonna tell you guys. You guys know my favorite Christmas song has become the Temptations, one of their renditions of This Christmas. Excuse me, of Silent Night. But Kayla's jam, I'm gonna play a little bit of it for you guys in a second. But I'm gonna let Sam go ahead and kick off the culture. Go ahead, Sam.
All right. So as we talk the
New
culture,
SG
one of the new
trilogy.
one of the new things that we decided to incorporate as it pertains to the culture is identifying some musical projects that are out that we vibe with, specifically that I vibe with, and just give you a little insight, hoping that you'll take some time to check them out. So, a couple of projects that I'm rocking with currently. Andre 3000, one half of the legendary Outcasts. Andre 3000, as deemed by many as an elite MC, as someone who is an extreme creative, and his talent has been recognized worldwide as that, as I said, a half of Outcasts. So his latest project is one that really threw a lot of people off because they were expecting bars. Three Stacks is back, and so they were expecting to hear something almost from yesteryear in terms of his lyrical content. And Andre 3000 said, you know what? I'm about to reinvent myself and change the game. So he's put out a full feature project. When I say full feature, it's 8 songs, but the difference between, say, a full feature project in the past that has been so few songs, those songs are typically short. He's done songs that are a bit longer. And it's Andre 3000's instrumentals playing the flute specifically. For Yeah, so definitely a bit different than what anyone anticipated. Now, I don't know how many of you are into meditating and taking time to reflect and just having some time for yourself. But this album, for me, the project is entitled New Blue Sun. It's one of those that it's given me an opportunity when I have some time just to myself. I'll put it on and I'm able to reflect and really just strategize and just have a calm, just feeling and remove myself from what's happening. And so I love the project for that. And I also love the fact that he was in a space in which he wasn't fearful of doing something different. He had an interview recently in which he said the reason that he did not put together a rap album is because he doesn't have anything really to rap about now. He's not as hungry as he was at that time. He's 48 years old now. And so for him, he's like, I'm in a different headspace. So
Alexa, turn the thermostat.
the headspace that I'm currently in has given me the bandwidth to truly disconnect from that and focus on something else. So I commend him for that. So that's a project that I'd recommend you check out. Andre 3000, New Blue Sun. Now, for you hip hop heads, hip hop enthusiasts. Thank you, thank you. When it comes to bars and lyrics and production and gritty stories, this new project by Dave East and Krush Calhoun, 30 for 30. I don't know if you're a Dave East fan, but Dave East is someone who,
I'm a big Davies fan.
interesting point. Dave East was an aspiring basketball player for years. He played high school basketball and AAU basketball with Kevin Durant, and Kevin Durant is one of his best friends. But his life, he ended up moving in a different direction, as we know, different direction than Kevin Durant. And so Dave East, now being an elite MC, an actor, just truly talented brother. So if you're into all things hip hop, you would like to check out Dave East and Krush Calhoun's 30 for 30. All right, transitioning out of new music projects, I did a little research, and I was curious as we get in the holiday spirit. I'll put a pause in it. Go ahead, brother. What were you gonna say?
Yeah. So as we get into the holiday spirit, I just want to throw Kayla's. There's a
Okay.
Kayla's favorite song now for Christmas for the holiday season is
Mhm.
Last Christmas. And while she really likes the Wham version, her favorite is the little homie AG. So I'm just gonna play a little clip of this because Kayla gets excited when it's Ariana Grande's version of Last Christmas. That's all. I just want to throw that out there. Like, Kayla is really like choosing songs and singing lyrics and all of that. So she gets me excited. But in the spirit of the Christmas spirit, Sam, take it away.
So, in the Christmas spirit, we talk about family and fellowship and fun, and that's what the holiday spirit promotes. So, I ended up going down a rabbit hole just researching top Christmas movies. And specifically, I wanted to know, we're the collective podcast. We have our hands on the culture because we are the culture. So, I wanted to find out what are the top three or 3 to 4 Black Christmas movies. I threw in the fourth one because I just watched this other one. So the top 3 Black holiday movies via the Entertainment Weekly. First one was 2007's This Christmas, which I've seen a couple of times. 2016's Almost Christmas. You weren't ready for that one.
Was that with the same people as This Christmas?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's it. And then
like a prequel.
The Hood classic. Yes, the Hood classic. 2002's Friday After Next, when Ricky Smiley was playing the thief Santa Claus. Yeah, so those were the top 3 holiday movies according to Entertainment Weekly. But then I was told by a good friend of mine about another great holiday movie that I just watched, and I'm watching it again this weekend. It's on Amazon, and it stars Eddie Murphy, and it's Candy Cane Lane. If you haven't seen Candy Cane Lane, the message of that movie is phenomenal because, yes, it's focusing on the holidays. It's focusing on wants, and I don't want to give away much of the movie. It's focusing on wants, but the undertones and the overarching message is the fact that your wants should never supersede your needs. And a lot of time when it comes to pursuing your wants, you don't even see what you really need, which is everything that you have right then and there. And that's spoken volumes to me because a lot of what you and I talk about, brother, is the fact that we should love on our people and connect with our people and remain connected and make sure that we are always infusing value in the relationships and friendships that we have. And so the movie spoke to a lot of that, a lot of those important components. So if you haven't seen, check out Candy Cane Lane, starring Eddie Murphy and Tracy Ellis Ross. Great movie.
All right. Well, thank you for that. And he mentioned Mariah the Scientist earlier. That might have been before we came on air. But speaking of super duper underrated singers, Mariah the Scientist is the most underrated. You guys will look back on this and realize you slept on her. But Coco Jones is phenomenal. And I don't know if enough of you know that. So I haven't seen Candy Cane Lane yet. Kayla and her sister Braylon watched it with Brianna. I know that last week. Kayla and I will probably have movie night tonight after the last football game. And we'll probably watch that together because she won't mind watching it again. And it'll be my first time. But here's a bit of Coco Jones from that soundtrack. Snowflakes falling, it's that time of year. It's the season spreading joy and cheer. I mean, how does that voice not just soothe you? And if you have other designs on what you want to do with your evening, that voice will do that for you also. So I'm just throwing that out there. All right.
Listen, let's not forget to mention Coco Jones is also a phenomenal actress. So she's multifaceted. She can do more than just sing. So really dope. And kind on the eyes.
And she can, she's beautiful and she can sing. And I haven't even seen her act. And that's really funny because usually I haven't seen her act yet. And I know she's in Bel Air, so I'll probably watch it. But yeah, so my entree to her was singing. And then I said something to Brianna about it. She was like, "Oh, she's the one from Bel Air." And I was like, "Oh, okay." I had no idea. She could sing. So shout out to Coco. I don't know, man. You ready for this?
This is Tech Talk Now.
Are you ready for this? Is it time? I know. But are you gonna remember this time that it actually happened,
This
or
is Tech Talk
are you gonna be
Now.
like, you forgot to do this? Whoopsie boopsie bopsy. I think my guy wants me to move on to Tech Talk Now. So we're gonna do that. It's time for that segment. Let's just do these drops
AC
again.
from LA.
Is it me?
This is Tech Talk Now.
All right. Well, it's time. Let's go ahead and get to it. Oh, you were doing it. I was doing it. Go ahead, Sam. I guess I turned it off. All right. So, home Wi-Fi demystified. Finding the perfect router or mesh system. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Tech Talk Now, brought to you by the Collective Podcast. I'm your host, AC from LA, and today we're diving deep into the world of home Wi-Fi. It's a topic that's more important than ever, given our increasingly connected lives. So let's demystify home Wi-Fi, shall we? First, let's lay the foundation. Home Wi-Fi is like the digital bloodstream of your house. It's what connects all your devices to the internet and each other. Whether you're streaming, gaming, working from home, or just browsing cat videos or reminiscing about the times when Philadelphia Eagles were good, your Wi-Fi network plays a crucial role. Now, let's talk about the options you have. Traditionally, homes used a singular router to distribute Wi-Fi signals. But as homes got larger and more devices joined the network, dead zones and slowdowns became common issues. This led to the rise of mesh Wi-Fi systems. Mesh systems consist of multiple access points or nodes that work together to provide seamless coverage throughout your home. Think of it as Wi-Fi teamwork. So, what's the deal with mesh systems and why are they so popular? Well, they offer several advantages. Elimination of dead zones. Mesh systems ensure there are no more Wi-Fi dead zones in your home, providing consistent coverage from your basement to your attic, everything in between. Scalability. You can easily expand your mesh network by adding more nodes, adapting to your home's size and layout. And of course, seamless handoffs. Devices can seamlessly switch between nodes as you move around your home without dropping the connection. Now, let's talk about choosing the right router or mesh system for your home. Here are some factors to consider. Coverage area. Determine the size of your home and the potential dead zones. If you have a large home or complex layout, a mesh system might be the way to go. Speed and performance. Consider your internet plan. Make sure your router or mesh system can handle the speed you're paying for. Compatibility. Check if the system is compatible with your devices, including smart home gadgets. There are plenty of router and mesh system options out there. Some popular ones include Google Nest Wi-Fi, and it's known for simplicity and reliable coverage. Arrow offers a range of options for different home sizes and needs. ASUS ROG Rapture. If gaming is your priority, this one is designed with gamers in mind. Netgear Orbi, a well-regarded mesh system with excellent coverage. TCP Uplink, which is what I have in my home, a new player in the mesh system game. TCP Uplink offers robust performance and easy setup. I also have that set up for some of my IT clients. And I bet you guys didn't know that I do a little IT on the side. It's my background. But once you've chosen your router or mesh system, it's time to set up your Wi-Fi network. Most systems come with user-friendly apps that guide you through the process. And here are some general steps. Connect your hardware. Plug in your router or nodes and connect them to your modem. Download the app. Download the corresponding app for your system. Follow the instructions. I mean, it's simple, but I mean, these are the things that you need to do, and then you can get it done. The app will walk you through the setup, including naming your network, creating a password, and placing nodes strategically. And naming your network and creating a password that you're going to remember are extremely important. especially when you have people come over that you're going to let join your network. You want to be able to tell them what to join and what password to use. However, some of these systems are set up so that you can actually set up a guest network and you can share it with specific people and not need the password. Or you can share your main network without the password. So there, like, a lot of this stuff is getting smarter and smarter. So technology is just, it's beautiful. But it depends on the system that you're using. Before we wrap up, here are some tips for maintaining optimal Wi-Fi performance. Keep your router or mesh system's firmware up to date for security and performance improvements. Extremely important. There are always people trying to break into your personal space digitally over your Wi-Fi network. Keep your stuff up to date to help combat this. Use a strong, unique password to protect your network from unauthorized access. And place your nodes strategically to ensure that even coverage and also to minimize interference. And that's a wrap on today's episode of Tech Talk Now. We've unraveled the mysteries of home Wi-Fi, from single routers to mesh systems, including the impressive TCP uplink. Remember, the right Wi-Fi setup can make a world of difference in your connected life. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope you found this episode helpful. If you have any questions or topics you'd like for us to cover in the future, feel free to reach out. Sam is so dope, the way that he does that every time I'm done. And that was
Tech Talk Now. That one was extremely dope. When you said that Wi-Fi is the digital bloodstream of your house, look, I wrote it down. It meant so much to me. I was like, yo, that to me was, that really resonated with me.
I'm glad it resonated with you. And we're not shouting out anybody who says resonate. So I'm glad it resonated.
No, at all. We're done. So great job. Great job. Great research. Great intel. And speaking to the need of it, the importance of it. So thank you. Great job.
Yeah. All right. Well, this is it's you now. Go ahead.
All right. So, first of all,
wait, hold on. Before you go on. So if you just look at us from now, like right now, before we go any further, and you put these two colors together, you might be confused and think, oh, no, it's not the Miami Dolphins. It's like the U. Shout out to the Hurricanes. I just want to throw that out there. Go Canes. All right, go ahead, Sam.
All right. So first of all, I just want to give some props to my co-host, AC. Because AC knew the assignment today. He knew that we were going to talk about Money Green 23, a.k.a. Draymond, a.k.a. D. Raymond Green. But yet he came on with the Money Green shirt that just so happens to have some money on there. So let me see, man. What's your shirt say? Let me see. Step back. Let the people see. What's it say? Yeah. Private reserve. So what that says to me is that you're about your paper. You're about stacking your paper. Now, not in a shoebox, but you're about making and stacking and investing your paper. And so that's the result of you rocking private reserve.
Yeah.
And then when you look at my shirt here that says, thank you, Dave. The names, I'll mention 3 names. Let's go with Trugoy the Dove, Pastanus, and Maceo. That 3-headed monster is that of the legendary group De La Soul.
Yeah. Thank you, Dave.
And so when you talk about thank you, Dave, it's an ode to Dave Trugoy the Dove, who passed away, and phenomenal MC, and from one of my favorite groups of all time. When De La Soul came out in the late 80s, they were part of a collective that promoted going to school, being intelligent and being cool and being pro-black and unapologetically black, and putting your crew together of folks that have the ability to think for themselves. And so De La Soul for me will always be one of my favorite groups, and Dave will always be remembered. So, yes, 2 dope shirts. And in order to find out more about the gear we're wearing, if you like the gear we're wearing, if you look for the past couple of weeks, we've been rocking some new gear, bright, vibrant colors, cool, dope messages. And those have come as a result of our trusted apparel partner, the world famous Closet Junkies. For more on what the world famous Closet Junkies do, their apparel, they make custom apparel as well. You can go to cratesandclosets.com. That's cratesandclosets.com, where they have a host of hoodies, t-shirts, hats, shoes, you name it, all things under the sun. The world famous Closet Junkies can be found at cratesandclosets.com. Bam.
All right. Bam. Well, thank you for that. And that really just takes us to, man, it's kind of sad. Like, is this it?
Get ready for the closeout.
Are we here?
Get
we
ready
went.
for the closeout.
No, we're at 2 hours, dog. This was, and we cut
Get
some.
ready for the closeout.
Yes.
Wow. All right, man.
New
Close out.
SG trilogy.
Wow. So as we close out, man, I love all that. How did Cameron say it? Computers Putin. I love that. Yeah, computers Putin. All right, so for this week's closeout, where's my music, man? I got to get into my vibe
5,
for the closeout, brother.
4, 3.
Oh yeah, it's a vibe. Got to just feel it. And so for this week's closeout, let's keep this holiday spirit going. Meaning, let's focus on our families. Let's focus on our friends. Let's focus on the fellowship that we have with individuals. And let's ride this wave as we close out this year. Let's gear up for the new year. You know, quite a few people come up with New Year's resolutions, but I think I try to break it down even in shorter increments than that. Just making sure that every day I'm doing something that's productive. Every day I'm doing something to make a difference, not just in my own life, but in the lives of those who are around me. And I can't stress the importance of that enough. Make sure that you meet your mark. If it's something new that you're trying, remember you're only competing with yourself. And you have to give yourself some grace when you're in a new space. Man, that's a good one there. Give yourself grace when you're in a new space. So that's my closeout for this week. Making sure that every day you look to make a difference. What about you?
All right, brother. We definitely appreciate that. I think we should. We don't really normally do this for the closeout, but that was kind of dope. So we'll give you some applause. And so for me, I'll now close out. You notice that we don't have the same music. It's like Lil Wayne said, we are not the same. But yeah, just it's my favorite time of year. I tell you guys, November 1st to January 1st, holiday time, holiday spirit. Munchie came with me to my game last night. It was a great game. The game was like 90 minutes from the house. So picked her up after school. We went out there, had dinner in the neighborhood of the game. Went to the game, and she sat in the stands calmly, in the corner, front row. Her phone died. She was on her iPad, had her headphones on. The AD let her get some snacks. Just a really good situation for her. And I worked the men's game last night, so, and I had two other men on the crew, so they were welcoming. And it was just a good situation. And I love her to death and love spending time with her, and love it when I have my weeks with her. And it's always cool when she's here. It's my week with her, and Sam and I hop off the podcast. She's ready to get Saturday started with Daddy. So super excited about that. And just really do the one thing that is missing from this holiday time for me, my grandmother. I always miss her, but I miss her even more during this time. So love your people. Let them know that you love them. You never know when you won't have another chance to. You never know when they won't have another chance to be loved by you or let you know that they love you. So please take advantage of the opportunities that you have and love your people. You know, your friends. You know, you don't choose the family that you're born into, but you do choose the people that you associate with when you're of a certain age. So just remember that. Don't be pressured into anything. And, you know, gratitude is due. Please give it. Please give it. Be good for yourself. And please protect your peace at all costs. Really important. All right. This has been episode 128 of the Collective Podcast. Just want to remind you that we love you. We do love you. We love your support, and we appreciate you. Absolutely appreciate you being here and coming back week after week. So, Sam, let them know.
As mentioned, it's important to us that we remain connected with you. We love the fact that you come on weekly to listen to us, or for those of you that are watching us, we love that we're able to interact with you. So you can stay connected with us at our official website, thecollectivepodcastofficial.com. On YouTube, we are TC Pod Official. On Facebook, TC Podcast Official. On Twitter or X, TC Pod Official. On Instagram, we are TC Pod Official. On Instagram, he is AC from LA. And yours truly, I am SG Trilogy. It has been a pleasure rocking with you all for episode 128. Man, it's hard to believe, as you mentioned, we're almost at 2 hours, and it seems like the conversation just started. So great show, great interactive presence from our viewers and listeners, and we appreciate you.
New Collective Podcast.
We appreciate you guys. As always, this has been episode 128 of the Collective Podcast, and we are out of here.
Let us pray.
We appreciate you.
Heavenly Father, dear nigga down here.
Hey, you know what? Hold up. I just want to quote Houdini real quick. Homeboys through the summer, winter, spring, and fall. And then there's some you wish you never knew at all. But nevertheless, I'll say it again, that these are the people that we call friends. That's my brother. That's
friends. Boom, boom, boom. How many of us have? Oh, that's my jam.
Yes, sir.
Yes.